Welcome back to the show. Mike Fisher of CowboysSI.com noting that the Cowboys might get a new quarterback. What? Fisher writes, the Cowboys find themselves, quote, intrigued by Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud, an NFL source tells CowboysSI.com. I don't know the how, the source said, but Dallas is absolutely intrigued by Stroud. What?
The how is simple. The how is simple.
What? Trade Dak to the Colts?
Dak, yeah, to the Colts or the Texans for the pick. That's the only how. The how is that, Drew. You would trade Dak Prescott for the pick that becomes C.J. Stroud. That's the only way to do it. You down with it?
I've thought long and hard about this.
You got it.
Because, hold on. I love C.J. Stroud. I like him better than Bryce Young. But after and obviously, Nick, you know this. It helps you if you got a quarterback on the rookie scale because you can go fill out the roster elsewhere, add what they need. But I had to, at the end of the day, say, you know what, I wouldn't do it. And here's why. Because C.J. Stroud, no matter how much I like him, he's still an uncertainty, right? We've seen number one picks, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and Marcus. All these guys are top 3 picks. Marcus Mariota and Zach Wilson. So I know what I have in Dak. You might have your questions about him. He hadn't been great, obviously, in the playoffs lately. But I know what I have in him. So I would stay with Dak and try to add DeAndre Hopkins would be what I'm trying to do. That's my plan A. So
I don't look. They could be intrigued, but what are they going to do with that $89 million worth of dead money? Like how
well, but if they trade him, it's not full 89 because somebody takes on his salary. Cutting him is where he this year, though.
Well, look, there's still with trades. There's still a significant amount of dead money here, and then you're gonna make this move now. They've talked about how they want him to be there for 10 years. They've talked about how he's such an important part of the organization moving forward. And I don't think that there's an insincerity when they say that. And they may be intrigued, but to me, that's just posturing. They're not going to make a move like this. And when you take a rookie quarterback, even the highest ones, and I know we're all going to say this guy's a once-in-a-generational talent. It's going to go through it's going to go through the same iterations that we always go through about how great this next group of quarterbacks is going to be. But you do have a certain level of performance there. Is it necessarily the Patrick Mahomes level? No, but I think they can win with him. And I think they have a chance to win big with him, at some point. And now you're trading that for a significant amount of uncertainty. I don't think it makes sense.
Oh, okay. You seem to, Wilds, think that this would be this is insane.
Yeah, I'm a Dak Prescott guy.
Okay.
On the record.
Listen, and I am not right now saying I would do this. I do not have a refined opinion on C.J. Stroud, as Brew does. And I'll be honest, I've been burnt enough on my college quarterback evaluations. I was a big Josh Rosen guy. There's I'm sticking. Right, exactly. I'm sticking with the Prince and Caleb Williams in a year, and the rest. And Bryce Young, I'm not high on because he's tiny, and I don't like small quarterbacks. But this is the defense of the idea. Now, first of all, I don't think it's available to them because I think if they called up Houston and offered them Dak Prescott for the number 2 pick, I think Houston says no. But let's say Houston, D'Amico was like, you know what, this division, I don't want to, I'm a defensive guy anyway. I want a quarterback that can lead my offense. I would do it. The argument is, yes, you would have $40 million of dead money this year, which is the same cap hit you'd have with Dak. Then you'd have 4 years of basically a free quarterback. And how does that work? Well, Russell Wilson went to 2 Super Bowls under that circumstance. The Eagles twice have been to a Super Bowl with different coaches and different quarterbacks under that scenario. The Bengals went to Super Bowl under that scenario. The Chiefs went to 2 Super Bowls under that scenario. And I'm leaving one out. It is a cheat code to building a stacked roster. The Rams, pardon me, they were the other team that went to a Super Bowl under that scenario with Goff. The first, with Goff.
Secret? What is it? You sound like you would do it.
If I were the Cowboys, and whoever's in charge of my draft, Stephen Jones, whomever said, we believe this guy is the guy, then of course I would do it. Of course I would do it. Because I think we know, for good or for bad, we know exactly what Dak is, and we know that he is very expensive and getting more expensive. And so, and we also know the Cowboys have been butting up against this hard ceiling. What's the best Cowboys team we've seen in the last 20 years? Dak's rookie year. when they were able to load up on talent everywhere. The quarterback was not very expensive, and they went 13-3 and played an epic playoff game with the Packers.
But you're not going to get that free pass with the quarterback because you're going to have the dead money.
For 1 year. No. For 1 year you would. But then year 2, 3, and 4 of C.J. Stroud or whomever it would be, you would have all of that. So I'm not advocating for it. But what I'm saying is the idea that it's just crazy, it is not crazy. It is, if any team has a quarterback that they think is good but not great, that could get a quarterback that A, they think could be better eventually, and B, is incredibly cheap immediately, you have to think about it.
Yeah,
you have to look at it.
49ers did it and trade away 3 first-round draft picks for a quarterback.
It doesn't always work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a foolproof. You have to pick the right guy, and he has to not break his leg. But it's not an insane idea.
Okay. High-flying Eagles now need to navigate free agency. Great article from Matt Bowen. Top 50 free agents. 7 of the top 50.
That's 14% Wilds.
Are Eagles. Nice. It's 14%.
Yeah.
Nick, you're hot on this.
Well, Coach mentioned that, forget even just the top 50, 11 of their starters are free agents. That's half. Mm-hmm. And I think the Eagles are in a really good position. I think Howie Roseman is a really good GM. But I also think people overestimate windows. And I heard Joe Burrow say, my window's my whole career. Maybe. Or maybe you have one more year with Chase and Higgins, and then you only have one of them. And you have one more year till you get really expensive, and then the defense isn't as good. And the Eagles just lost both coordinators. They're going to lose maybe half their starting defense. Yep. And Jason Kelce could retire. I just think that those windows can close really quickly, and it would not surprise me at all, Brew, if 4 years from now, we're like, what was the Eagles' best chance of the Super Bowl? Oh, the one they were up 10 points at halftime on that they couldn't close. To me, that is more likely than not.
Well, and we had a wonderful time in Kansas City. We had some great barbecue, even though Dusty rated it, a B+? We all gave it A's. Dusty gave it a B+.
Oh, the cornbread.
Yeah, no cornbread. They didn't have cornbread. But I got to say this, they got to be kicking themselves that they didn't win that game.
Of course.
But for the 2 big plays, the fumble return for a touchdown and the Kadarius Toney's punt return, they outplayed them for the most part. Mm-hmm. So they did blow that. But here's what I say, Nick, because I do think I think his window is his prime. I think same for Josh. Like the great quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been back to a Super Bowl. But the window's been open because he's a great quarterback. So I don't know if Hurts is there, but I know Hurts has the character and the physical tools where I feel like, he's going to continue to improve. Howie Roseman is fantastic. I mean, they had a quarterback who turned out to be a bust, but they had given huge money to, and a few years later, they're back in the Super Bowl with another quarterback. So I trust Roseman and Hurts to think, Coach, I don't think they necessarily get back next year, but I do think the window's still open.
Yeah, here's what I love about the front office is they've got continuity, and they've got a clear-cut vision of how they want their team to be, and they operate really well in the chaos of the NFL. And every year, there's 5 to 7 head coaches that transition, and then in that transition, they want new players. They want their philosophy, and guys become available at a discount. And whether it was Bradbury or Hassan Riddick or the list goes, A.J. Brown. I mean, all those organizations were going through some sort of transition or turmoil, and they do a great job of saying, this is what we want, this is what we need, this is how we're going to go get it. While these other teams are having fire sales, they're bringing these guys in. So I think that gives them a chance that organizations with great continuity have that distinguish them from other places.
Coach, are you still buying the Super Bowl hangover since the Bengals went to the AFC Championship? The
absolutely.
Chiefs went to the AFC Championship.
Losing 2 coordinators, incredibly disruptive. Dealing with success is incredibly disruptive. Having 11 starters that are free agents who are going to want to get paid because everybody thinks that they're the reason they went to the Super Bowl and they want to be compensated accordingly. All that stuff is significant challenges for them.
On the bright side, when the Chiefs win the next 3 or 4, do you think they'll give the Eagles a small trophy for being the team that came the closest?
That's a good idea.
They get a miniature Lombardi, hey, you were the only team to keep it within 1 score. You had a second-half lead. Yeah. We'll give you something. That way it's not just the trophies going to Kansas City.
I think it'd be
good. They'd be like, hey, it was like you kind of won the Super Bowl. You had a 4th quarter lead on the Chiefs. Good job.
And if they don't, will New England give? If they don't go back-to-back, will New England give?
Why don't we talk about Chuck Noll's Steelers? We're talking about old dynasties.
Well, I'm just saying, are they going to give them a participation trophy? Good job trying to be back-to-back again.
Miniature dynasty.
Yeah.
Luka and Kyrie, title contenders.
Ooh.
Next, first things first. It's a great segment. Stay with us.
You really